Okay guys, so here's the review that we did today in class in the game. There's one mistake that I found when we were going through the game that I told you wrong. So I wanted to make this video so I can give you a better chance at scoring a really high score tomorrow in the test. So in this question it says there's 12 row of students on the bus and each row has 2 students, right? So that means that each row has 2 students and there's 12 of them. So if you want to find out how many students that is, that's going to be 12 times 2, right? So we're going to write down 12 times 2 so we can see what we're doing as we are working it. There are also 15 students who are standing on the bus. So that's an additional 15 students, which means we have to add them to the total. And then it says which equation shows how to find S, the total number of students on the bus. Well, if you have 12 times 2 plus 15, we're going to look at which one matches that. This one is 12 times 15, so we know that can't be it because it's not even asking about the 2 students per row. So that's not right. This one does have 12 times 2 plus 15, so it looks like B is going to be the answer. C, you are multiplying 2 times 12 right here, but if you remember the parentheses here, the order of operation tells us we have to add before we can multiply. So this would be something like 17 times 12, which means that you have 17 students in 12 rows, and that's not the information they give us. So that's why C is the wrong answer. And D is just adding 12 plus 15 plus 2, which means that you're adding 12 rows plus 15 students plus 2 students. You can't add rows plus students. That doesn't work. So that one doesn't make sense either. So letter choice B is the correct answer choice for that one. If you look at this other problem, it's very, very wordy. It tells you about Rihanna, how she went shopping to H-E-B to buy the ingredients for guacamole. She bought 6 avocados for $2 each, a bunch of cilantro for $3, and 4 limes for 25 cents. And she used a coupon for $5 off the total order and then paid with a $20 bill. The question is, how much change will she receive back? Well, you can do it all separate, or you can just solve this order of operation problem because they give it to you. So in order the order of operations, if you remember right in class, we talked about the saying, please excuse my dear and Sally, and we talked about multiplication and division are done in order from left to right. Same thing for adding and subtracting. So we're going to look for these guys first. Do we have any parentheses at all? And the case is yes, we have these. Then we have these other ones. And then we have these big square brackets. So I'm going to start with the small ones first. Remember that. So 4 times 25 cents, that's like having 4 quarters. So that's $1. That's one whole dollar. The answer is just 1 right there. Everything else has to copy straight down, exactly as you see it. And then you still have these round parentheses, and you still have the square parentheses. And oh, I forgot there's a -5 right there. Be careful with this, because if you're working through it and you're rushing like I am, kind of to keep this video a little bit smaller in time, you might miss something in the test tomorrow. You might want to make sure that you are doing step by step so you're not rushing through it. All right, inside the smaller parentheses now, which is these guys now, you have multiplication, addition, and addition. So multiplication goes first according to the order of operation before you can do addition. So 6 times 2 would be the next step, which is 12. Then you will have to copy everything else down. You still have these round parentheses. You still have the -5. You still have the square parentheses and the 20 minus sign. So the next step is just adding and adding, right? So in this step, I would just add 12 plus 3, which is 15, plus 1. You still have everything else. Copy everything else down. 15 plus 1 will give me 16, which is the next step inside the parentheses. -5. So I'm going to go ahead and put my square bracket still there. And now inside the square brackets, the only thing I have left is 16 minus 5. So 16 minus 5 is going to give me a total of 11, sorry. 16 minus 5. That gives me the answer of 11. And then you're supposed to take 20 minus 11. So 20 minus 11 is going to give you a total of 9. And as you can tell, that's not one of the answer choices. That's one of the mistakes that this review had. So go ahead and change this 11 and put a 9 right there, and then circle answer choice D. So if you have that when you turn in your review, I know that you watched this video and I know you have the right answer. So this is what you should end up with, because that's your final answer for that simplification, which means that she's going to receive $9 back change. Okay, number 3 real quick. It says Miss Flaherty had 125 gummy bears, and then she gave 35 of them to students, right? So she's getting rid of them. That's subtraction. If you look at these equations right here, the only ones that have subtraction are A and C. The answer choice A and C. So B has addition. That's like getting more gummy bears, and she's not getting any. So we know that this one's not going to be the right answer. And this one's also not going to be the right answer. So we're going to take those off. The next thing that we see on the problem says that she split up the rest into Ziploc bags for experiments. And each bag contained 9 gummy bears. So that means she's splitting them up. That means division. So if you look right here, the only one that has division between A and C is going to be this one. This one is multiplying times 9. That means she's getting more and more and more. That's not what she's doing. She's dividing what she has, that she has left after taking the 35 away from the 125, into 9 different bags, right? Or into groups of 9. There we go. So my answer A would be the correct answer. This one doesn't work. All right. Now let's take a look at number 4 on the other side. This is the one that I wanted to talk to you about because we did do this one in the game, in the class, but we didn't see the extra information. Here's the extra information. It says that there's 5 people in her extended family and that she's finished with 2 apple pies by noon. So that's a lot of information that we don't really know, that we don't really need to use. And it does say that she wanted to figure out how long it would take her to finish the rest, right? But the question is not asking that. The question is asking how many hours will it take her to finish all 9 pies. It didn't say how many it will take her to finish the rest of the pies. It's 9 pies that she's making. So there's 5 people in her extended family. That must mean that there is 4 people in her immediate family. So that's a total of 9 pies, right? And they didn't ask you about the rest of the pies that she was finishing. It asked you for the total amount of pies. How many hours will all 9 pies? And then they give you this little piece of information, which is 1 pie. She can make 1 pie in 1 hour, each hour. So if you label the dependent and the independent, remember the one that you can control is how many pies, right? The one that's in control. The other one is going to be how much time it's going to be making, depending on how many pies you make, is how much time it's going to take. So the x-axis, if you remember the strategy of dry mix, this is going to be dry. This is not necessary, absolutely necessary, but it's a good practice for you to do this since we learned it in class. The dependent, the one that depends on the other one, is going to be on the y-axis. So the depending is the time. So in this case, I'm going to put the time over here, and we're going to put the pies, the number of pies, right here, because it depends on how many pies you cook is how much time it's going to take. So the independent is going to be in the x-axis. Okay, so the number of pies, if she cooks 0 pies, is going to take her 0 hours. That makes sense. And then over here, if she takes 1 pie, it's going to be 1 hour. 2 pies, 2 hours. 3 pies, 3 hours. 4 pies, 4 hours, and so on. 5 pies, 6 pies, 7 pies is going to be 7 hours. 8 pies is going to be 8 hours. And here's what we need. We need 9 pies, so that's going to take her exactly 9 hours, because the time here should be in hours. So my final answer for this one was answer choice A. And I think I told you there was going to be 7 because of this little guy right here. So since I was rushing through it in class, so we can play the game and we can get more problems covered, I also missed that one. But I went back and looked at it, and I wanted to give you that heads up for tomorrow's test. So hopefully you're watching this video and you don't get tricked tomorrow in the test. Okay, number 5. On number 5, it says Mr. Swainer. Let's see if I can focus that. There you go. Mr. Swainer had 1/4 of a pound of cheese puffs. So 1/4 of a pound is what he has. He only has that much, 1/4 of a pound. So if I'm going to make a model, here's my full, let's say, bag of cheese puffs, and he has only 1/4 left. So if I cut this into fourths, 1, 2, 3, this is the amount that he has left. 1/4. That is the model for 1/4 of a pound. Okay. Then it says that he's going to equally separate. So that's going to be division in math. We're going to separate in equal parts into 5 bags. Okay, for his table groups. So he's going to give these chips or these cheese puffs into his 5 table groups. how many pounds of cheese puffs will he put in each bag? Well, we're gonna separate this into 5. So we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. That gives you 5 sections. So that's 5 little bags. But this bag right here is gonna be what we're trying to find. How much is each of the bags? Each bag right here is the question right there. Each bag. How many pounds? Well, the full pound is this one, right? So we want to know of the full entire pound, how much is inside this little bag. Well, if you had the whole entire pound and you cut it exactly in the same way that you did the rest of the fourth, then that means that this little size right there would be only one part out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1 out of 20, which is answer choice B. And here's another mistake. It says quart right here, in quarts, and the question is talking about pounds. So this should be 1/20th of a pound, and 1/4 pounds, and 1/5 pounds. So make those changes so that the answers can make sense. So another way you could have done it is with realizing that you're having 1/4 and you're dividing it by 5. So if you start with a fraction, we did this in class, we end with a fraction. So our answer should be a fraction over here if we're going to use the algorithm, which means it's not going to be answer choice A. Can't be because it's not a fraction. The other ones are fractions, but if you remember the algorithm, in order to find out the answer here, all we got to do is multiply the bottom number times the whole number. So 4 times 5 gives you 20. And because we want to end up with a fraction, the 20 needs to go on the bottom and the ones on the top. So my answer is 1/20th. Either way I do it. This one explains why we do it. This one is the shortcut, the algorithm on how you do it, but you still get the same answer. So make sure you circle answer choice B. All right. Now let's talk about number 6, 7, and 8, and then we're done. So number 6 talks about every day in 17 days, for 17 days. This is how much food, how much pounds of dog food Miss Platt buys for her dog Stella. And the question is, what is the average number of pounds of dog food that Stella eats each day? So we want to divide the number of pounds by 17 days. Okay, so if you take that and you actually do the division, you're going to get one of these answers, A, B, C, or D. Now, I'm going to use estimation to do this. I'm going to estimate 17 days to be an easier number, like 20 days. And I'm going to estimate this 625 to be an easier number, like 600. So if I take 600 and I divide it by 20, well, that's going to be an easier problem right there. So let's see, say 600 divided by 20. 20 can't go into 6, but it can go into 60 3 times. That's exactly 60, so I get a remainder of 0. If I bring down the 0, now I have 0, and 20 goes into 0 0 times. In other words, my answer is 30 pounds for each day if I had 20 days and I had 600 pounds. So my answer should be about 30. Look at your answer choices. This one is not anywhere close to 30. This one is nowhere even close to 30. The only 2 answer choices that would make sense are these 2, right? So I'm going to scratch off A, and I'm going to cross out D as well. So it's B or C. Now the good thing about this question is that it gives you reasons why. So read the reasons. This one says that it's because 625.6 pounds divided by 17 is equal to that 36.8. This one tells you that 625.6 pounds minus 17 days is equal to 608.6 pounds, and 608.6 pounds divided by 17 equals 35.8. Well, we didn't have to subtract 17 days from the pounds. That doesn't make sense. So obviously this one is not right either. So just by using my method of estimation, I found the only answer that kind of makes sense, and I could check my work by actually taking that number, the exact number, and dividing it by 17 to check my work. But that is my answer for number 6. Okay, number 7, it says Elliot is really thirsty, and I know there's a typo there. It should be a Y right there. So he's really thirsty after school, and he drinks 5 cartons of orange juice. Okay, so if you're going to draw a picture, you're going to draw 5 cartons, and then it tells you that each carton is 1/3 of a gallon. So this would be 1/3 of a gallon. That's 1/3, that's 1/3, that's 1/3, and that's 1/3. In other words, if you want to really make sure to draw 1/3, you can do this. You can do you have 1/3 right there. You can do, instead of drawing the cartons, you can draw like this whole thing now represents 1 whole gallon. So you have 1 part out of 3 parts. So that's 1/3 of a gallon. And the same thing over here, another gallon. This is the orange juice box, so it's 1/3 of a gallon. Same thing on this one, so you keep doing the same thing. This one is your 1/3 over here. That one is your 1/3, and then this one right there. Let's see, without moving my paper. That one right there is your 1/3. So he's got 5 cartons of 1/3 each. Remember, when we have a model like this, you can just regroup. Like for example, this one over here, we can cross it out and say, you know what, that third can be put on this gallon right here. Now we have 2/3 of a gallon. This one right here can be moved over here, and now we have 3/3 of a gallon, which is 1 whole gallon. Same thing for this one. This one can be moved over here, and what you end up with is 1 whole gallon and 2/3, which is answer choice B. Now, if you wanted to do it with the algorithm, you could have also said 5 times 1/3. And if you remember the algorithm for multiplying a whole number by a fraction, this is where you have to make the whole number a fraction as well by putting a 1 underneath it. So you multiply 5 times 1 and you get 5, and 1 times 3 and you get 3. Then you can use your net and the donkey strategy, and you have the 5 on the inside and the 3 on the outside. So 3 goes into 5 one time. This is where you write it really big, because 3 times 1 is 3, remainder 2. So remember that 2 goes up to the top to use it as the numerator. And the denominator was 3 before, so it's going to be my same denominator over here. So you still end up with the same answer, 1 and 2/3. But the model picture kind of makes more sense if you really think about what you're trying to do. But if you're already good at the algorithm and you won't get confused with the other algorithms for dividing fractions, then you can use this one as well. Make sure you show your work in the test though, okay? And then the last question is this one. So it's asking for where point D could be if you have a square, and the square is ABCD, and you have these vertices. Well, if this is A, this is B, and this is C, and you graph all these points, which one's going to give you the 4th vertex, which is the 4th corner? They give you 3 out of the 4. So let's graph these A2. A2, remember, you always graph from the origin, and the first coordinate is the X coordinate. The second coordinate is the Y coordinate. So it means you're going to move on the X-axis to the right 8 units, and then you're going to go up in the elevator like Foxy the Fox. Remember that? Like we did in class, 8 to the right, and then ride the elevator up 2 units. So that's what I'm going to do from the origin. So from the origin right here, I'm going to move 8 units to the right and then going up 2. So here would be that point. And it does look like it's going to make a square, right? So that means that that should be my answer right there. I think I just ran out of lead. Let's see if I can use this pencil over here. Yeah. So this one right here is going to give me my square. And that, it was point A2. I'm going to circle that as my answer, but I'm going to make sure that these other ones don't make a square by some chance, some miracle or something. So B is 5, 1, right? So from the origin, I would go 5 units to the right and up 1. If I put that dot there instead of right there, it would make a shape like that, and that would not be a square. It would still be a 4-sided shape, quadrilateral, but it will not give me a square, so we don't want B. C is the actual origin, 0, 0, that's where Foxy the Fox lives. So if I put a dot right there and I have A, B, C, I can't connect this point to A and to C like that and make it a square. That looks weird. That's definitely not a square. And then the last point is 10, 10, which means you walk 10 units to the right and you ride the elevator up 10 floors, which is right here. So again, if you connect those, it'll be A, B, C, D, and then back to A. That is definitely not a square. So there's only one obvious answer, which is this one right there, which is answer choice A. So we knew that one was right the whole time. All right, hopefully this video helps you tomorrow so you can make a really good grade and you don't get tricked on any of these questions. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.